And we're live. Live Poke the Bear. We're presented as always by Prize Picks. Go use that promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. And we're presented by CLNS Media. Make sure to go check out Bruins Ringside on YouTube. Subscribe. We just hit 10K. We're very happy about that. We're doing these all the time now. Oh my God. I usually would just say, oh, we do live streams. Now we do it all the time. This is live, so you can interact with us, chat us, say the good things, say the bad, rip us, praise us, whatever it is. And then if you don't like listening or watching, you can just listen. You can just listen. And it's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from. And by the way, CLNS has a million different things. Celtics Press Pass, Patriots All Access. Those are cooking all the time. I'm Evan Marinofsky. That is Conor Ryan. Connor, what is up?
Evan, doing well. How you doing?
Doing great. Stanley Cup's back on. Stanley Cup is back on.
That's what the streets are saying.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. Stanley Cup's back on. I will say, though, 2-0. By the way, Slurpon said, I've just woke up from a lovely couch nap, which lucky you. When you guys start, what a great thing to wake up to. You're in a dream. This is a dream, actually.
This is beautiful.
Wake back up. This is a beautiful dream. But Bruins win last night, 5-2. I will say, Connor, though, 2-0 after the first. Especially that first shot. You had the Don Sweeney on Nesson out of nowhere. That was not planned, at least to my knowledge. He goes on Nesson. He's between Judd and Brick. And then they give up the goal immediately. Then they give up another. It's 2-0. And I'm like, wow. But they pull it out. They pulled it out.
I got to tell you, it was after that first 20 minutes, it felt like we were hitting a point where if you didn't respond from that game on Monday against Ottawa, and I mean, for the first 10 minutes, honestly, the first full period of that game against the Islanders, it looked like a continuation of what we saw in the third period on Monday. And that was shocking, right? Because it felt like if the Bruins, after, getting a really bad result last Thursday against the Ducks, where everyone's saying they're embarrassed, like they're clearly frustrated, you bounce back on Saturday against Colorado, and then you get smoked in what I think we all agreed, and also based on the comments we received after that game on Monday, like the worst loss of the year, without a doubt. Like it looked a lot like what we saw from the Bruins last season. If you follow that up with a no-show and you get blown out again by the Islanders, like, don't you just start, or we actually officially go into the tankathon thing, yes, where it just feels like this season's a lost cause if you don't respond that way. And man, after that first goal from Bo Horvat, it felt like we were going down the same page again. And it's like, all right, you got Lindholm back and you're still getting scored on. You're still making these mistakes.
I know his first shift.
Yeah. First shift. You're still, not able to generate a whole lot. The Bruins had 4 shots on goal in the first 20 minutes, and 2 of them came in the first 50 seconds. So they had 2 shots on goal in the last, I think, 19-10 of that period. And it's like, man, where do you go from here? Like, is this just what the Bruins are? Which that's what the Bruins are for the whole year through April. Yikes. Means you're probably getting a top 3 pick, but Jesus, that is a rough thing to trudge through if, that game on Monday is just the start of an extended snowball. And you run that risk, right? You run the risk of guys who have been bought in, who are working hard, which I think you can say even during that 6-game losing streak, they were showing an effort, right? It's just they kept on kind of folding at the most critical moments, but they were trying, right? You were seeing some of that effort. You didn't see that all on Monday, and if you follow that up with another really lopsided loss, yikes. So again, give credit to this team. I still don't know what to make of this team. I'm probably leaning more on the fact they're not good, but they don't roll over. They continue to kind of claw back in these games where it feels like, if last year was the low point, how many times did you even have a moral victory game where it's well, they clawed back in it. It's you didn't really have those. They were just getting their ass beat up and down the ice routinely.
Regularly.
So this team isn't quitting. Good on them for coming back in that game. You'd like it to be a more complete, not a 40-minute effort, but it at least, shows that this team is still trying to scrap and claw and try to figure things out. And that's kind of what Sturm was saying afterwards of, he feels like little by little, this team is learning, the defensive system that he's trying to preach here. And he pretty much said, like, we need like 30 to 40 games, which, like, it's going to be a lot of growing pains if that's exactly what if that's what his barometer is going to be. But it does feel like, if this was a blowout loss, afterwards Stern would be like, I don't know what to tell you guys. At least with a win, he can preach, the positives and the fact that, like, they're still learning and he's still seeing little by little some signs of progress. So I'm not saying Stanley Cup's back on like you were saying, Evan, but at least you didn't hit DEFCON 1.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. It's funny, like, they do fight. Like, we were here Monday night and the mood was bad. By the way, nothing says Bruins fans more than after that one. That was like, there were over 1,000 people in here after that game. Like, people join this more when they stink than when they win, which that's like the most Bruins fan thing ever. That's why we love you. They fight. They do. Like, we saw it in those losses. Obviously, you get no points out of it, but they do fight. And you saw it again last night. Down 2-0, scored 5 unanswered to end the game, and were locked down defensively throughout the rest of it. Now, they give up way too many shots, and they chase play, and there are so many red flags with them, but they don't roll over. I know Monday they did. Monday was a complete rollover, but the next night you go down 2-0. A lot of teams would say, like, the hell with this. Like, we're done here. And they didn't. And I give them credit for that. That was, they got outplayed, but that was a win. And you needed that win badly. Oh my God, did you ever need that badly on Monday night, especially after Sweeney spoke before the game. And by the way, I saw Corey Pronman put out his 2026 NHL draft top prospects tiers. Gavin McKenna in the tier 1, and then tier 2, Tynan Lawrence and Caden Verhoff. So take your pick. Who do you want?
Hey, take one of those guys or even Stenberg. So
yes, exactly. But yes, good thumbnail. I want to get into that. Robert, you said the good thumbnail there. Connor, are you frozen? Is Connor frozen? Connor's been having really bad Wi-Fi, and there's a chance he might have dropped off. So he'll be right back if he did drop off. And if he didn't, there he is. Oh, he's
I'm
right
back.
There. Perfect.
I was really just pondering what my pick was going to be for the 2026 draft. I was really thinking long and hard for what exactly it was going to be. So
what do I do? People who are just listening to this, by the way, are pissed when we acknowledge comments they can't see and things they can't see. But you'll get used to it. You'll get used to it. More reason to subscribe to Burns Ranks out on YouTube. Hampus Lindholm out there for the first 2 goals against. That first shift, I was like, holy crap. Rest of the game, though, lockdown. And you see it. It's like on D, when he comes in, everything else goes into place. And his step-ups at his own blue line, what he's able to do with the opposing blue line, just how shut down he is. He has a great stick in his own zone. He makes a huge difference. And you saw it again as he kind of got more acclimated on Tuesday night.
Yeah, I made the comparison that I know it's a different sport. He kind of reminds me of like Kristaps Porzingis on the Celtics, where like he's already in and of himself, like within the lens of the player, is a really good player. But like just having him out there just also opens up so much stuff. Like the domino effect makes so many guys around him better that like, you'll take him because he's a top 4D that's going to play 20 minutes a night, can impact the game. But like just the little things he does of like the transition game, settling pucks down, like putting out fires in the D zone. And then obviously the offensive skill set that he has, right? Where, I mean, you see it on that play where he sets up Pasternak's goal. One of like the few 5-on-5 goals you've seen from like that top line so far this year. And it's jump started by Lindholm activating off the blue line with that great feed through the slot. And just having him out there and healthy, it just impacts the game in so many different ways for this team. So, yeah, not the best start. He also had, a couple of extended stretches in the penalty box where I was like, please don't have him like Islanders score twice on that high stick, because that would really hurt the narrative of how much Lindholm being back helps his team. But I think beyond his own skill set and what he brings on every shift, I think also just his presence in the lineup is such a positive domino effect for the rest of the guys. Because like where he's there, and Stern mentioned afterwards that he thinks that Andrew Peeke really plays well off of Lindholm. So you got that pair, you're all set. And where you have those guys in place, you can also now have the luxury of putting Zadorov and McAvoy together And I think that pair is so much better because there's one thing you got to do. There's a lot of stuff on the to-do list for Marco Sturm and the Bruins to get this team back in order. One of the top ones is you need to settle down Charlie McAvoy and get him playing back to a high level. And I think you see how much better he's been playing as of late with Zadorov. And I think
he was strong last night.
He was awesome yesterday. And I think they both played really well. And even the last time that Zadorov and McAvoy worked together for most of a game was on Saturday against the Avalanche. And what did the Bruins do in that game? Oh, they won. Yeah. Like they gave up one goal to arguably the top line of the NHL, but that's like harping on Will Campbell getting smoked by Myles Garrett. It's like, right. That happens to everyone. Like, so, and I think
alone in that.
All things considered, like the Zadorov McAvoy pairing have been together for 41 minutes of 5-on-5 ice time, and they've given up one 5-on-5 goal, and it was to the McKinnon line. So if that's what you're getting out of your top D pair and it's settling down McAvoy and having Lindholm being able to drive another pair and it frees up Zadorov to go with McAvoy and settle things down, things are falling into place. And I think that's why Lindholm's so valuable. It's not just what he brings on the shift. It's just things start falling more into place for Marco Sturm and how he wants to build his team when Lindholm is out there and healthy. And that's the most important thing, because I think if he's playing night in, night out, you have an impact player and it's helping out the rest of your team. It's just need to keep him healthy.
You need to keep him healthy. Also, just on the power play had a great night last night. It's hard to say, hey, you need to make changes, but I like Lindholm at the top. I like him at, quarterback in the power play more than I do McAvoy. And I thought McAvoy had a phenomenal game last night. He had 2 assists. He was great on the power play. I thought he was great at even strength. Like, I did go pretty hard on McAvoy after Monday night's game. But I think
he needs to be better. He
needs to be a lot better, way better. Yeah. Like you're the second highest paid guy on the team. Like, potential captain, your top D man. Like you got to play better.
He has given up the most 5-on-5 goals of any defenseman, I believe, going into Tuesday's games. He's been on the ice for 14 goals against at 5-on-5 play, and he's one of the league leaders in penalties. Like you need more from the guy. You can look at and I don't think it's worked out well with him and Lohrei, and maybe that is impacting it a little bit. But he's also Charlie McAvoy. He's a guy that's been a top 5 Norris guy. Like you also need him to take over, and he just needs to be better. And so if putting Zadorov with him helps steady things a little bit, then you'll take that, because you can see just how when McAvoy's locked in, and you can even see it when he's handling the puck, he's more assertive in the offensive zone. Like you see where the value is and how he's such a unique, impactful player there. It's just you need more of it.
Completely, 100%. I think that's the biggest thing with him that they miss dearly when he's not on his game. I want to get into Lohrei. I want to get into Geekie. Maybe some goaltending. There's a question in there about goalies. Korpisalo did have a really good night on Tuesday night. So fired up. Jonas Korpisalo was next starter of the Bruins. But first, our good friends over at Prize Picks. This episode's brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Hockey-wise, Morgan Geekie keeps scoring. I don't know what else to tell you. Like, what is it, a 5 or 6 game goal scoring streak? Or whatever it is, I take him over or more than 0.5 goals. David Pastrnak continues to produce. And honestly, any goalie in net, whether it's Swayman or Korpisalo, is probably going to face a lot of shots. So I go more saves, whatever the amount is at. Prize Picks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. And if you get your picks right, you can cash in. Prize Picks is also the best way to get action on sports in more than 40 states. We know not everyone is living here in New England. So states like California, Texas, Georgia, all our Bruins beat, poke the bear, pucks with hags fans. In those states, you can get in on Prize Picks too. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Mason Lohrei got scratched before Tuesday night's game. The Lohrei McAvoy pairing has not worked. There is no justification for it. It just hasn't worked. Whatever the reason is, I mean, Lohrei is definitely not great in his own zone. There's a lot of strides that need to be taken in that regard, and McAvoy has been bad through the first 12 games of the season. Do they continue to sit Lohrei? Do you bring him back in and put him on the third pair? what do you do with him? Because again, this is another young guy. I think a lot of people say, "Oh, Mitten's the only young guy on the roster." Lohrei's pretty young too, and that is someone with potential. I know a lot of people are soured on him right now, but he does still have that offensive potential. I think this is going to be one of Sturm's many big things here at the beginning of the year, but I think this is going to be a huge thing for him and how he handles him and his development here in the early going.
Yeah, it's kind of a conundrum, right? Because I agree, like you want to play to Lohrei's strengths and you want him to, be a guy that I think it's very clear now, like he's not a top pairing guy, especially at this stage of his career. No. So is he, more of, and it's kind of what we talked about, I think, after Saturday's game where he's further down the lineup. It's like, all right, if he can be a third pairing guy and you give him really sheltered minutes, and you maybe up his usage on the power play and you just play to his strengths, that's a good way for him to, one, feel confident about his game. It helps you out, just the bottom line of you're not exposing him to those really taxing D zone minutes. And you let him kind of learn on the fly and get more confident, and he starts developing that way. These piss comments, you gotta like, we have opened up a can of worms.
There's no putting it back in.
I know, yeah, it's like Pandora's box. I think you want to play to his strengths, and he's still like, I'm not saying like, he's got to bench him the rest of the way, but it is interesting, right? Like, do you go back to him in the next game against Buffalo, or like you won this last game, Jonathan Aspero, which also congrats to him for his first NHL game at 26 after grinding for a couple of years. Do you take him out when he was steady at 4 blocks, like did his job on the third D pairing? And to what I said earlier, right, where I do like Zadorov and McAvoy. I like Lindholm and Peak. Like, do you want a third pair of Lohrei and Jokiharju? Like, want a little bit more like rigidity, I think, on that pair, right? So, like, where do you put him in? Is it like do you keep this current group that won on Tuesday in place till they lose again? Because like, you don't want to sit Lohrei for too long, but is putting him with Jokiharju the best guy to put him back into the lineup? So it is kind of an interesting discussion as where's his best landing spot. He's such a unique player that also it's not like he's a, no frill stay at home guy. We're like, put him back with anyone. He's going to, third pair, like he's play simple and, he'll start getting his confidence back up. Like he's a specialized player that you're going to have to find the right spot for him, the right reps, the right, zone usage. And that's what makes him such a tough player, because you don't want to just bury him, but you also like have to start stacking wins. And right now you can't put him back in a spot where he's going to get exploited out there. So it's tough.
You need some offense up front. Put him at wing. I always love that take.
Yeah.
I think the tough part, you hit it on the head there. He is a unique defenseman who now with Hampus Lindholm back too, it's not even like, well, you need a guy to run your second power play unit. Like you'd like him on the second power play unit, but Lindholm can run it, and you can double shift Pasternak, or you can throw Jokiharju out there as sort of an outlet for a guy under pressure. Like you can get by without that. I know there are a lot of people who are like, Lohrei can go, I don't care. I still want them to develop him, and I want to see what he is. And people always say, they need to play the young guys. They need to see what they have in young guys and all that. He's one of those guys. So you can't keep him on the bench. You can't keep him up on 9 for a long time. Like, I agree. He has not been good to start the season. And like, I was reading Fluto this morning, and Fluto, correctly wrote his game has completely fallen off. He is truly in need of a reset. And maybe Sturm thinks that's another game, because he doesn't really fit back with Jokiharju. That's not a stable D pair unless you want to give them minimal
sheltered
minutes.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Like not a lot of minutes, and Lohrei get out there on the second power play unit, and you're playing what? I don't know, 13 minutes a night. Like, but then you're like, all right, so Hampus Lindholm's just back from injury. Do you really want to push him? Do you want to have him playing a ton? It's also a long season. Like, you don't want to just roll 4D. This isn't overtime in the playoffs. So that's right. I don't know where exactly you bring him back to. Unless they think one game is going to make him worth it on the top pair with McAvoy, which I don't think is the case.
I think you learned your lesson on Monday. I don't think you can bring that pair back. Like
Can't.
because it's not just Lohrei is struggling and it's hurting his confidence. Like you're not getting anything out of one of your big guys, and like that's one of the things that Sturm has preached, right? Like, yeah, we need everyone. We need our big guys to deliver, and like McAvoy on most nights hasn't given you that in your own zone. So I just can't. I can't fathom them going back to that grouping. It's just where does Lohrei best fit moving forward, and that's where it gets challenging.
Like this is outside the box because I don't see a spot on that left side.
We're not putting him on the wing, Evan. We're not doing this.
That would be incredible. I am completely against that for the record. Anytime I hear someone say that, I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Do you try? I mean, Lindholm and Peak work, but do you do like two lefties, two righties? Do you do Jokiharju and Peak? Like, I don't like that. And I really don't. But if you need Lohrei back in, I don't know. It's just a thought. I'm trying to think outside the box here, guys, because I don't see a spot on that left side. Do you put Hampus Lindholm on his right side and stick him with Lohrei on the second pair? Like, I'm not a fan of that either. Yeah. And then again, if you can't find a spot for him back in the lineup, and by the way, if Aspero has a tough game coming up against Buffalo, if he slots back in, yeah, Lohrei goes back in and you put him on the third pair of Jokiharju, and you hope that Lohrai's reset. But I do wonder, I mean, you're going to start seeing fans be like, trade Lohrei, see what you can get. And, I don't know if that's the correct thing right now either.
Yeah, I think it comes down to my guess is that you probably have the same lineup on Thursday. Like Aspero, I don't think took himself out of the lineup. I think you want to go with the group that won a game that you needed to win, and then you adjust from there. But also maybe it is like, don't feel great about Lohrei, Jokiharju, but also like you're in the NHL. Like we need you to get your shit together. So like if it is that's your third D pair and it's on you to win puck battles, be strong on the puck. Like that's also the thing. It's like he's not just like losing battles. He's like not assertively moving the puck. That should be one of his strengths too. Like it also falls on the player to capitalize with whatever minutes and reps you're getting. So Lohrei does need to respond regardless of who he's with. So if it is Lohrei and Jokiharju, reset and see what you can do because the Bruins need more from him.
That's the most common outcome. I think that's the most likely outcome once Aspera has a tough game or they lose. And then again, you have Buffalo on Thursday, so you do have last change because you're home. You have Carolina on Saturday. That's a tough matchup, but that you do have last change, so you can kind of tailor the matchups. Then you're on the road against the Islanders, home against Ottawa, on the road against Toronto, and then home against Toronto. So it's not the toughest stretch coming up, but still, I agree with you on Lohrei. You've got to get more out of him, and I'm just glad I'm not the one picking where he's slotting back in the lineup. At least that's a good thing. Before we get into Geekie, because Joe Magician asks about Geekie in the comment section. This is something we were going to talk about anyway. First, you're probably watching on Bruins Rinkside on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe if you're not. We hit 10,000. We're very happy about that. We're going to continue to do more of these. Be it after games or during the week like this. This would normally just be recorded and then posted later. Just posted immediately now, which is awesome. And thanks to our producers. And if you are driving and you don't want to watch and you just want to listen, or you're like, man, those guys are ugly. Which I don't know why you'd think that, but if you did think it, you can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts from: Spotify, Apple, Podbean. Exactly, Robert. Road to 10 million subs. We're on our way.
We're not doing Candy Billy Park if we do 10 million subs. We do 10 million subs, buddy. We're recording from the moon.
Yeah, we are going to the moon,
like baby. Wallace and Gromit, baby.
Bruins Rinkside to the moon, and Celtics All Access, Patriots Press Pass. Those channels are humming, so make sure to go subscribe to them. Morgan Geekie. Pastrnak comes out after the game last night, says, quote, he has everything to score 50 in this league. He's at 8 goals right now. This is the exact opposite of last year. Geekie was non-existent in the first part of the season. Sturm did move him down to the third line. Sturm moved him down, moved Pustanidov up. I don't think Sturm spoke about this after the game. He did. He did? Oh, I didn't hear this. Yeah. What did he say about that?
Essentially was just wanted to see if they could balance the lines out a little bit. What I imagine is what he was politely doing. What he was politely saying was, holy shit, Morgan Geekie, if you're over on the ice for 10 seconds of your shift, please back check, because if you watch that play over again, I know everyone looks at like Lindholm activating. Really bad back check from Morgan Geekie on that 3-on-2 where Horvat was just gliding into a shot. So I think that's the reason why. And there's been I really like more Geekie's game. There's been a couple of times where some of his back checking has led to pucks going in the back of the net. So it's something just to monitor with him. So I think it was an in-game demotion, but it ended up working out, I think, just for that game where, Husinov gets put up to the top line. He kind of starts the process that leads to that Pastrnak 5-on-5 goal where he recovers that puck, gets over the neutral zone and sets it up. So I don't know if that's going to be a permanent thing, but I think that's the reason why Geekie got bumped. I don't think it's for balance. It's more of you watch that play again.
It's pretty bad. Yeah. Scott McLaughlin pointed out on Twitter, and you could see it, and it's horrible.
It's not good.
That's the reason. It's not for. I don't think it's to balance lines. That is 100% what it's for. He wasn't back checking, and as you said, Connor,
it's very diplomatic coach response.
Yes. Yeah.
It also helps that he scores a goal. Yeah, and they have a much needed win. You're not going to bury the dude. So.
By the way, thank you to SideQuest Life for the donation. I think there is a chance I overreacted on Monday. SideQuest Life, I don't think that there is. I don't think we did overreact.
I don't think there is an overreaction, but it just always does. Like Bruins fans are so passionate that it is. It's like when Andy in The Office punches the hole in the wall. He's just like, that was an overreaction. Like that it is. But listen, I think we were SideQuest we were all in the same boat. I think with that game because. Holy Christ, that was not fun. So I don't think no one has to atone for the reactions from that game because that was ugly.
And then the worst part of it was after that game, you and Ty were texting about the World Series. So I'm like, I should go watch. Like it's extra innings in the World Series. I should go watch it. And then I got to inning 14. It was like 1:45, and I was like, I've got to go to bed. Like I can't stay up for this.
Coward.
So I did. So I went. I wasted another 2 hours of my night. Watching a game that I didn't even get to see the end of. So but I don't think we overreacted. I don't. I think that there's a lot of bad things under the hood with this team, and they're going to have some nice wins, but there are going to be some things there that don't make a lot of sense.
I agree. And I think it's encouraging that, yes, it does feel like Morton Geekie's on pace for another 30 plus goal season, if not 40. We'll see if that carries over, but he just keeps on producing, which is impressive. But I also think this comment I see from Lucky Cham of I've decided to give the team till the end of November. It's one a little further. Yeah. Give the team till the end of November, decide how I feel about the future. Emotional seesaw, need to see things level out. I think I'm in the same boat. Don't feel great about the team. As you said, Evan, looking under the hood, it's not great, but it's kind of like what Marco Sturm said after the game of he feels that this team still has a lot of work to do. And he's encouraged by the fact that he thinks that you'll get a better idea of how this team is grasping the systems and the buy-in and all that stuff once you get past November and see once you get into maybe the dog days of the season. That's a long time to wait. That might mean a lot more of live streams where all right, I guess McKenna would look pretty good, but
holes in the wall.
It does feel like this is still a work in progress. And if you were to ask me right now, don't feel great. I don't feel great about my wild card prediction, but I also just don't really know what to make of this team. There's some days where you look at them and you can say hey man, they work their ass off. They could be a hard out if they get everything together. There's other times where I'm this ain't it. All right, well, kind of Lawrence. At least we get another BU guy up the middle. But that is how I feel.
Declining for Tynan. I like that. Declining for
Tynan.
There you go. That works. Lucky Charm, I'm with you. I will say this. I didn't predict them in the playoffs at the beginning of the year. I did predict them up until Thanksgiving to be a fully 500 team. They've played like it. They played like a 500 team. So I think I kind of feel pretty good about what they are. I just don't know, again, they had those, 6 straight games. Almost all of them were 1-goal losses. The way a season works, those are going to go your way at some point. So I think they're just mid. They're a mid team with not a lot of talent, but they have heart and they have fight. Back to Geekie. The dude has figured out how to score. He's great at getting lost in coverage in the offensive zone, especially playing with Pastrnak. He doesn't get as much attention. On the power play, he doesn't get as much attention. He kind of meander himself over to that one-timer spot and score. He has a really good release, a great shot. He finds its way in the net. He's the top guys in the NHL have 9 goals. He has 8. He's right there. And Pastrnak saying that he has enough to, that he has sort of the 50-goal skill to him. I don't know if I'd go that far, but it's not insane to think that Geekie puts up 40 this year. Like, it'll be a really funny trivia question, by the way, Connor, years down the road when people want to forget these kinds of seasons and people are like, remember when Morgan Geekie was like a 45 goal scorer? Like, I feel like that's going to be like
maybe
Geekie.
that's the standard, man. Which if that's what you signed that contract to, that looks pretty good.
Yeah, it does. No, it looks really good. And by the way, he's turned himself not just into like a complimentary piece, he's turned himself into a primary source of offense. What is concerning, though, is Elias Lindholm has 0 5-on-5 points so far this year.
He's not great.
And
he has 4
dynamite
power
on the
play
power
goals,
play.
though. He's
Yeah.
right behind Dorofeyev in terms of power play goals, but
dynamite on the power play, but not quite on that. But Connor, I think we've hit on everything. Aiden says to me, this team has far more accountability and culture than last year's. I feel like this year is about building a foundation for the years to come, which they are doing. I agree. There's more accountability and culture.
Bridge year, and then what the ceiling or floor is to be determined. I think we're still trying to all figure that out, Aiden, but I do think that's generally what the plan is.
I think we've covered everything. I think we've hit on everything. Connor, what can the people look forward to from you over at the Globe and Boston.com?
Yeah, you can read my stuff over at theglobeandboston.com. We've covered every step of the way this Bruins season, so please subscribe over there. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, X, whatever it's called, you can at Conor Ryan _93.
Go do all that. That's Conor Ryan. I'm Evan Marinofsky. Poke the Bear listeners, live listeners, have a great rest of your night. Of your night.